So we are going to just go over this handout, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and then you are free to go. But today's handout is about referential text. So a text that the book we're currently reading is referencing. And in this case, the house on Mango Street references the Bible in one particular vignette, the one that, if you're reading along with me, you read yesterday. That was vignette 38. And this is very common. The first passage says the Bible is one of the most widely read texts in the world. It is an important religious text for many religions, and the first part, which is sometimes known as the Old Testament, is shared by those who practice Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, so three major world religions. Consequently, even if you are not a believer in one of these religions, knowing and understanding the most popular stories from the Bible will help you comprehend references to them that appear in your reading and listening. So even if you personally don't identify with one of those religions, it's important to know some of these stories from the Bible because they reappear over and over and over again. Lots and lots of authors reference the Bible or allude to the Bible, right? You guys know that term allusion with an A, not an I, meaning to reference something else. This book and lots of other books allude to the Bible. The next bit says, you have probably noticed that the house on Mango Street does have references to Christianity. Some of them appear in chanclas, right? They go to the baptism. A rice sandwich, we learn that Esperanza goes to a Catholic school, and so she's taught by nuns. And Elenita cards palm water, where Elenita has all of these religious figures in her house. Some of them are crosses, some of them are specific candles. Some of them reference different traditions and different religions, but a lot of them reference Christianity specifically. However, this passage continues, there is an extremely strong connection to the story of the Garden of Eden in the vignette, The Monkey Garden, which is the one you read yesterday, if you're reading along with me. That's vignette 38. It says, read a summary of the Garden of Eden below and identify any parts where it reminds you of the monkey garden with a star. So if you don't have this printed out in front of you, that's okay. If you have a note-taking strategy that works for you, when you don't have the paper in front of you, you're welcome to use that. But if you just want to listen and be thoughtful and think of which parts of these stories remind you of the monkey garden, the vignette from yesterday, please feel free to do that. And I'm going to read it to you. This is the Garden of Eden. It's a summarized version from the King James Bible, which is a very popular translation of the Bible, Genesis 2:3. God created man from the dust of the ground, and he breathed life into the man. God planted a garden east from Eden, and he put the man there. In that area, he grew every beautiful tree, and he also put the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the middle of the garden, with a river running through it. God told the man to eat from any of the trees in the garden except the tree of knowledge of good and evil. If the man ate from that tree, God warned, he would surely die. Then God decided the man should not be alone, so he created beasts and birds, and he brought them to the man, Adam, to be named. Adam named every creature he saw, but he did not have a helpmate. God put the man into a deep sleep, and he broke off one of Adam's ribs. God made a woman with the rib, and he brought her to Adam. The man recognized the woman as bone of his bone and flesh of his flesh, and they became man and wife. The man and woman were both naked, but they were not ashamed. The serpent was more cunning than any creature that God made. He asked the woman if she was allowed to eat from every tree in the garden. She responded that she was allowed to eat from every tree except the tree in the middle of the garden. The serpent insisted that the woman would not die if she ate from that tree. Instead, he suggested the fruit would open their eyes and they would be like gods, knowing good and evil. The woman evaluated the tree and decided to pick a fruit and eat it. She gave some to her husband too, who also ate the fruit. Their eyes were truly opened, and they knew they were naked, so they sewed fig leaves into aprons to cover their nakedness. Soon after, they heard God's voice, but they hid from him among the trees. God called for Adam and asked where he was. Adam replied that he was hiding in the garden because he was naked. God asked if Adam had eaten from the forbidden tree, And Adam said he had because his wife had given him the fruit. God asked the woman what she had done, and she said the serpent tricked her, and she ate the fruit. God punished the serpent by forcing him to slither on his belly all his life. He swore that the serpent and the woman would be enemies, as would their children. God also punished the woman by causing her sorrow in childbirth and giving the man control over her. Additionally, God said the man would toil on the earth for his food until he died and returned to the earth. Then God made clothes for the man and the woman so they would not be naked anymore. He banished them from the garden before they ate the tree of life, which would allow them to live forever. Your directions, after you have, if you want to reread that passage, you're welcome to do so. Your directions are to answer each question below in complete sentences. Use specific details from the summary and the monkey garden, that vignette you read yesterday, to support your responses. We can go through these questions really quickly. 1, what are some of the similarities between the settings of the monkey garden and the Garden of Eden? 2, is the serpent is the creature that begins the chain of events in the Garden of Eden. Who is the character in the monkey garden that changes the climate? How do the events begin? 3, the woman, Eve, and Sally are both tricked into creating trouble in their gardens. Remember, Sally is a character in the house on Mango Street. How are their objectives or goals for their choices different? 4, Adam and Eve have a moment when their innocence about their lives changes. What is the realization they come to, and what causes the realization? 5, Esperanza has a similar experience in the monkey garden, when she can no longer feel innocent. What causes this realization? How do her feelings about the incident compare to Adam and Eve's feelings? 6, how does each garden story end? Do you see any similarities or major differences? 7, review the style of the summary of the Garden of Eden and the monkey garden. How are the styles, language, structure, formality different? Which do you prefer and why? So you have 7 questions. If you are a little bit behind and you haven't had the chance to read vignette 38, the monkey garden yet, please make sure you do so before you answer this handout. Obviously, you will not be able to do it without having read that vignette. So make sure you are caught up with this week's work before you begin. But this is going to be due with your other work on Friday. And if you have any questions, you can ask them now, or of course you can reach out on Edsby or Remind.